ẹ kú dédé àsìkò yìí ẹ sì káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ọmọ Oòduà tó ń dé sójú ìwòran yín o láti iléeṣẹ́ ìkànnì Wo TV. Òdu ni wá, àwa kì í ṣàìmọ̀ fólókó. A tún ti dé o sórí ètò bá a ti ṣe máa ń dé tó ètò ọ̀hún ló wá balẹ̀ báyìí bí ọ̀wàrà òjò sójúde yín o. Àwa òmìnira bá wá pèrè fìdí àbẹ́ bá ń fìdí tí a pèrè mọ́lẹ̀ kájọ kan lágbá mi ètò tòní nítorí pé ń dá amú afúra wa lórí ètò lónìí ó gbọgbọ́n kódà ó gbẹ̀ngbẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ ń pè ní ó gbẹ̀ngbẹ́ nítorí pé kàyéfì ọ̀rọ̀ kàbìtì la máa ń pè ní kàyéfì ọ̀rọ̀ tó ẹ bá wá pèrè fìdí àbẹ́ bá ń fìdí tí a pèrè mọ́lẹ̀ kákọ́ lágbá mi ètò tọ̀hún ká máa bá kíní ọ̀hún bọ̀ bá a ti ṣe máa ń ṣe tá a máa ń kìbọnú ara wọn lẹ́lẹ́yọ̀ ẹ̀yọ̀ bó bá ti wá yá yín bó bá ti yégun ni o ṣe mọ̀ pé o ti yọrẹ́ àwa tá a wà ń bí náà àbá tẹ̀lé wá bí torí pé bàbá débi iṣẹ́ ṣíṣe náà là á ṣe ó ti wá yá ẹja jọ karabodò torí pé àní karabodò tán ká tún ṣe máa wá parọ́ pò tútù mú wa o ó ti yá bó bá ti yá yín ẹja jọ lọ.
A human rights advocacy group, Save the Poor and Needy Charity Initiative, SPANCI, has described the removal of the Chief Judge of Osun State, Justice Oyebola Adepele Ojo, by Governor Adeleke as illegal and unconstitutional. SPANCI described the removal of the Osun State Chief Judge as unlawful and an executive legislative conspiracy that is not good for democracy, rule of law, and separation of powers. It was further gathered that Adeleke had a few days ago announced the removal of Ojo as the Chief Judge of the state. The president of SPANCI, Yemi Ezekiel Bello, said in a statement made available to newsmen on Saturday that the governor's decision is not good for democracy and the rule of law. He maintained that the decision of the governor is tantamount to subjugating the judiciary and judicial officers to the executive and legislative arms of government. Bello, who further advised the governor not to play politics with everything, demanded the immediate reversal of the removal of the judge. According to his statement, Osun CJ Justice Oyebola Ojo's removal is unconstitutional, unlawful, illegal, and an executive and legislative conspiracy not good for democracy, rule of law, separation of powers of the three arms of government, and citizens' human rights defense. We, in Save the Poor and Needy Charity Initiative, SPANCI, are against the unconstitutional removal of Justice Oyebola Adepele Ojo by His Excellency Ademola Adeleke, the Executive Governor of Osun State. He further stated, if this illegality is allowed to stay, then the executive and legislative arms of government can conspire against the citizen and their human rights without obeying the court to suit their personal opinion, as our courts and our orders will be useless and our democracy is doomed as our legal and judicial system becomes a slave to both the executive and legislative, and this is also an invitation to anarchy. He concluded by stating, we hereby demand the immediate reversal of such unlawful, illegal, and unconstitutional removal in obedience to our Constitution and protection of the rule of law, which is good for a pure democratic nation. The Nigerian Bar Association has condemned the suspension of the Chief Judge of Osun State, Oyebola Ojo, by the state government. The House of Assembly had during plenary on Thursday ordered that Justice Ojo should step aside pending the outcome of the investigation against her. Approving the resolution of the Assembly, the governor of the state, Ademola Adeleke, appointed Justice Olayinka Afolabi as the acting chief judge. Ojo's suspension was, however, in defiance of an order of the National Industrial Court sitting in Ibadan, which restrained Adeleke from removing her. Condemning the action of the government, the NBA, in a statement on Friday by its National Publicity Secretary, Akorede Lawal, said her removal was unlawful. It described the action of the governor and state lawmakers as an unwarranted assault on the judiciary, which was aimed at intimidating the arm of government in the state. The statement partly read, the NBA unequivocally condemns this unlawful action by the Osun State government. The action of the state government is an abuse of the rule of law and a discretion of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. In very vivid terms, the actions of Governor Adeleke and the Osun State House of Assembly are unwarranted assaults on the judiciary and aimed at intimidation. The NBA wishes to categorically state that the provisions of the 1999 Constitution are not ambiguous as to the way and manner a chief judge of a state could be removed from office. Certainly, a State House of Assembly resolution for a chief judge to step aside unknown to the law of our land. Citing the case between Ngajiwa and FRN, he said the chief judge cannot be removed without the involvement of the National Judicial Council. Furthermore, the law has since been settled in Ngajiwa versus FRN 2017 LPELR 43391 CA that any misconduct attached to the office and functions of a judicial officer must first be reported to and determined by the NJC. Specifically, the Supreme Court in Elenu, Habib and Ano versus AG, Federation and ORS 2012, 12 NWLR, Part 1318, 423 has clearly stated that the Chief Judge of a state cannot be removed under any guise, including the infamous step-aside style by the Osun State government without resource to the NJC, the statement added. He also berated the Osun government for disregarding the order of the court restraining it from removing the CJ. It added, the NBA is further worried and troubled that in going about its unlawful endeavor, the Osun State government chose to ignore the lawful order of interim injunction granted by the National Industrial Court sitting in Ibadan, which restrained the governor of Osun State from interfering with the office of the Chief Judge of Osun. This is untoward coming from a democratically elected state government. All decisions of court must be obeyed and complied with until they are set aside by a superior court of competent jurisdiction. Lawal said the NBA has resolved not to recognize Justice Afolabi as the acting CJ of the state. He vowed that the association would stop at nothing to ensure the decision of the state government does not stand. Lawal said the NBA's position is anchored on the constitutional doctrine of separation of power and the independence of the judiciary. The tenure of a judicial officer cannot and should not be subject to the mood of politicians. To this extent, the NBA and its members shall not recognize Honorable Justice Olayinka Afolabi as the acting Chief Judge of Osun State because the provisions of the law must be complied with strictly in the removal of and or appointment of the Chief Judge of Osun State. The NBA shall take all necessary steps to ensure this impunity and brazen abuse of office does not stand.